Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the brand new NATASHA DENONA Triochrome palette. This is one of her larger sized 15 pan palettes. I am really excited and a little nervous to try out this palette with you guys. As you guys know, I really like basic eye looks, and this one is not that basic. Anyway, we'll get into it, but I wanted to mention that I did purchase this at Sephora while they were having their holiday savings event. So this does retail for $129, but I was able to get 20% off of that. I don't know what that comes to with tax and everything, but I was able to save a little bit of money. But first, let's go ahead and do some swatches. So I swatched from left to right, top to bottom. So the first shade is Scrap, which is a creamy matte. And all of these shades actually are creamy matte except for the 3 multi-chromes that run down the middle. So I'll just mention those as I get to them. The next one is Androdite, Scarab, which is a multi-chrome, Ion, Vert, and then the next row is Naga, Manganese, Kinetic, which is a multi-chrome, Redox, Tungsten, and then the final row is Vertex, Plutonium, Color Flip, which is a multi-chrome, Garmin, and Diatonic. So I do really like the way this palette is laid out. I love this green row at the top and this purple toned row in the middle. And then this bottom row, it seems to be the neutral toned row. I think when I ordered this palette, well, one, not that I didn't realize, but I assumed when I went to go order this palette that it was going to be one of the $65 15 pan palettes, but it's one of the $129 ones, which is the same as the Biba palette. I think that's the last one that came out that was in this size. Everything else since then, I believe, has been at the $65 price point. So this one does have a bit more product. And I also, this is like the completely unobservant me speaking here. I also didn't realize that aside from the multi-chromes, that all of these were going to be matte shadows. I love a NATASHA DENONA matte, so I am not upset about that. I think that's really cool, and it allows the multi-chromes to like really shine. So let's go ahead and apply these shadows to my eyes. This is a first impressions. I have not used this. I've only swatched them for you guys, and they do feel, all the matte shades feel really, really silky and soft. They feel like NATASHA DENONA shadows. And even the multi-chrome shadows, the ones down the middle, those felt really creamy as well. So I'm excited to use these. I'm gonna go in with some of the mattes though, and I'm actually gonna be trying out some new brushes here. Esom just came out with a V line of brushes, and they're made with like a new type of synthetic fiber. So these are all synthetic fiber brushes, and of course I'll have details down below as to like what brushes I use. I don't know that I'll be using all 6 of these new ones, and there's also some new face brushes as well, but I thought I'd go ahead and try these brushes with the NATASHA DENONA today. So I'm going to start with this brush, which is the V33. For me, like a very basic blending brush. And I'm gonna try and, kind of stay out of my comfort zone. Of course I wanna go into a shade like this or this to kind of start off with, but I'm gonna try and stick with the greens and purples. So I'm gonna start with Ion. It's like a lime green. And I'm gonna add that to the outer corner and the crease area. I don't know if this color looks okay. I may have to move over to the deeper Vert color. Yeah, let me do that. I'm gonna go into Vert right here. It's always really, really off-putting to start with like a different color, one that you're not used to, for sure. It's like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. This brush is super soft, and I like how it's blending and working with these shadows. Ooh. All right, well, so far with just that shade down, I do look very ill. So let's go ahead and maybe warm it up a little bit with some purple. I'm gonna go down to this tungsten color down here, and I'm gonna use a different brush because that was a pretty bright color. I'm gonna try this smaller blending brush. It is the V31. I feel like now we're getting somewhere. It's starting to look less ill. Starting to look less ill. I'm going to grab this V27 brush. This is like a flat shader. I feel like I would normally go into Scarab, so I'm going to try Kinetic. That's the more purpley one. And, ooh. Ooh. Oh my. Interesting. This is such a blue-based purple. Is it just me? I feel like I'm not seeing really a color shift. Yeah, it's a really cool toned purple. I feel like I see a little bit of a shift, but not much. That's kind of weird. It kind of looks like a satin shade. I wonder if it's just my lighting. I don't know. No, I just see... Yeah, I just see that purple. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm just reading the back of the box here. Oh, how to use multi-chrome. Apply with dense eyeshadow brushes for a subtle finish. Okay. For high payoff, foiled finish, apply with a damp eyeshadow brush or with the tip of your finger. What? Okay, so this is with the damp brush and this is with the dry brush. It definitely is much more opaque. And I really love the color of this eyeshadow. I think it is really, really beautiful. I love the satin finish that it has. I am just a little confused because I don't find it to be very multi-chrome at all. I don't know. You guys comment down below. Like, are you seeing something in the camera that maybe I am not picking up on? All right, let me just finish using this one shadow. I think I'm gonna have to try another one and just put it on the outer corner here just to see what's going on. Okay, I just cleaned off the same brush. Again, this is the V27 and I'm gonna go into Color Flip because this one definitely looks very, very shifty, especially in the monitor versus what I see in real life. So I'm gonna add this to the outer corner of my lids here. Oh yeah, okay. There, I see the shift in that color. I don't know how to do this. So I see it go from like an antique gold, bronze color to pink. I hope you guys can see that in the camera. All right, so there's definitely a shift with that one. And I'm cleaning off the brush again because just out of curiosity, I want to see how the Scarab looks because it does look a little bit more shifty than the Kinetic. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I see the green to gold shift in there. So I guess it's just this Kinetic shade that really just looks purple. It just looks like a very cool toned, bright purple on the eyes. Yeah, and the other two shades, the Scarab and the Color Flip, definitely have much more of like color shifting going on. So I have this green matte color combo kind of as a transition shade. I just don't think it looks great with the rest of the eyeshadow that I have on. So I am going to go into, I think a purple would look a little bit better. I'm going to try this Naga color, this matte color. Yeah, definitely tone down the yellow. Yeah, that's much brighter than this side. Well, after using 1, 2, 3, 4 of the mattes in this palette, I really like them. I think they're working just like other NATASHA DENONA mattes. They're blending out beautifully. They're definitely helping the other shades blend out as well too. They're pigmented. Nice. And as far as the multi-chromes go, you can use them wet and they will appear like with more impact, a little bit more dense, a little bit more opaque. Now that it's dried down, I can't say that it's actually more shiny. I just feel like it's a little bit like thicker application. Yeah, so this was the side that I applied wet and this is the dry side. right? I don't think one is necessarily like shinier than the other. All right, well, as usual, especially when it comes to Natasha Denona palettes and colors, she seems to be able to kind of push me out of my comfort zone, and I'm always so happy with the look I end up with. Obviously, this is not something that Michele does on a normal daily basis, but I love it. I actually really love this purple color, despite the fact that it doesn't seem too duochrome-y. I just love like the really like strong blue undertone in it. I think it's so pretty. All right, I'm gonna finish up my eye look and I'll be right back. All right, so my first impressions, thoughts on this palette. I think the quality is there. I think the matte shadows from what I've used so far really perform beautifully. I really like the way the multi-chromes go on as well. I think they're really, really pigmented. And I feel like the multi-chromes were really easy to use. Sometimes really highly metallic shades, like they can be a little bit fussy, or they can have like a lot of fallout, or they can have some chunky bits to them. These were incredibly, incredibly smooth. I have zero fallout, which, speaking of, these new brushes from Isam are really nice, really, really nice. They're super duper soft, and I like the shapes of them. They were really perfectly sized, I feel like. The V33, which was like that blender brush, worked wonderfully. The V31, which you could use as like a jumbo pencil brush, or I just used it on the outer corner when I applied that matte purple shade. And then the flat shader that I used, this one was V27. This one was really, really great for those multi-chromes. And if you want to use those shadows wet, I would always suggest using a synthetic brush. So this definitely came in handy. So that was the V27. But back to the palette, I do like how unique this palette is. It's unique, at least for me. I know if you probably have a lot of indie palettes, you probably could dupe this very, very easily. Personally, I just don't have a lot of shades like these, like a really light mint green, or really kind of pastel version of like a lime neon green. You know, I don't have shades like that in my collection. So this really fills a void for me personally. And I think, you know, in the future, I'm going to be using this in conjunction with like a more basic palette. If I want to just throw one of these shades in, or if I am looking, you know, just to kind of like brighten up the look with something a little bit different, I'll probably reach for one of the shades, one of the matte shades here. I think my only personal complaint was I do wish this was the $65 size, because these aren't shades that I'm going to be using a lot. These are not basic everyday shades for me. So to have the bigger size of these shades doesn't make too much sense for me. I would much prefer the $65 size, but she released this in the bigger size. So that's a very minor complaint. But I do like the hard plastic packaging. She's been doing this a lot more lately, moving away from like that fabric, that kind of like faux leather with the like spongy insides. I just like this better. I find this packaging to be a lot more sturdy. I like that you can pop out the pans really easily. And yes, this is made in Italy, like all of her other eyeshadow palettes, and it's preservative oil, UV filters, alcohol, mineral oil, paraben free, nanomaterials free, not tested on animals. And I'm looking for the date. Oh, so 24-month shelf life once it's been open. And there's a total weight of 35.4 grams, 1.24 ounces. So that is it. So let me know your thoughts on this palette down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.